Chapter 61, Billionaire Florida Man Reveals Business Secret. Free child labor is a must-have. The guests entered the store and admired the expanded space. As usual, they exclaimed in astonishment. Only Hua Jiashan remained expressionless. Leo was generous this time. He brought out Rejuvenate tea and gave one bottle to each guest, treating it as if they were modern beer. Then, he brought the sacred wood blocks from the warehouse and put them in the store, using them as temporary chairs. Please take a seat. Oh, the drink is on the house. Wu Bai and others gazed at the blocks of sacred wood with wry smiles. They had the urge to slap Leo's face for using these precious materials as chairs. Still, they were afraid of his strength, so they kept their mouth shut, swallowing their heart pain. Isn't this sacred wood? Are we sitting on these? For real. He's using sacred wood as chairs. People are killing each other to get a piece of sacred wood, but he's treating it as furniture? Because of the emotional damage, their expressions were the same as Hide the Pain Herald. A few inwardly cried. Leo proceeded to serve them tea. Hua Jiashan silently accepted the Rejuvenate tea, while Wu Bai and Han Hao cheerfully received them. Han Meng, Tiger Swordsman, and the other elders, however, were surprised to receive such an expansive gift. Wu Bai and Han Hao chugged down the content in unison. They instantly emptied the bottle and burped out loud. Wu, that hits the spot. Can I have a second? Wu Bai giggled. Don't be rude. He's already generous enough to share this top beverage. Oh, by the way, sir, I see that you have so much Rejuvenate tea. Could I buy some from you? Leo paused for a moment. He thought about scamming them to gain their lifespan, but he had a change of heart. After all, he only needed 10 minutes to make a liter of drink, and the ingredients came from his backyard. 1,000,000 spirit stones per bottle, Leo casually named the price. Sweet. Han Hao burst into laughter. I need 6 more, please. I'll pay up front. Leo flinched for a moment as he remembered that he didn't know how to use spatial rings. He deeply sighed and pulled out the ring that Wu Bai once gave him. He wore black rubber gloves and passed his ring to Han Hao. Store it here. Yes, senior. Han Hao took the spatial ring and transferred his spirit stones from his ring to another. While he was at it, he snooped Leo's ring with his chi sense, wondering what he had been collecting. Then Han Hao was surprised. There was 1,000,000,000 spirit stones in there. Han Hao gulped. His hands trembled as he had never seen such wealth before. Even though he was a millionaire, his wealth couldn't be compared to Leo's. Meanwhile, Leo was clueless about how much he possessed. He thought that the ring had enough space to magically store more spirit stones. As more spirit stones came his way, Leo believed that it should be the right time to start mass-producing soul stones. Curious, Leo asked the guests if they had heard about essence stones or soul stones before. He picked one of the essence stones in a box on a shelf. Then, he showed it to everybody while they were still enjoying the drinks. I'm thinking about introducing new merchandise. What do you think? Looking at the black stone in Leo's hand, the elders looked perplexed as they had never seen anything like it before. However, Hua Jiashan calmly identified it. Essence stone? Isn't this a contraband item? Contraband item? Leo's heart sank. He didn't expect it to be an illegal item. Yes, Hua Jiashan explained. The emperor forbids every cultivator of the mainland to possess or use essence stones. He once claimed that it could potentially turn righteous cultivators into fiend cultivators because of their impurity. Ha! Leo raised his eyebrows as the item description from the alchemy workshop said otherwise. Essence stone can be found underground in any mystic realm. Unlike spirit stones, it contains a great amount of fire, water, wood, metal, and earth element chi. Traits: increase fire, water, wood, metal, and earth element essence by 10 years worth of cultivation. Consumption: alchemy recipe soul stone, 1,000 essence stones. Fire, water, wood, metal, and earth catalyst. Fire, water, wood, metal, and earth essence. As Leo respected his loyal customers, he revealed what the system had told him. I think your emperor lied to you. 1 essence stone contains 10 years worth of cultivation. It also has all 5 element essence in it. The elders were flabbergasted while Hua Jiashan revealed a bitter smile. The latter confessed, yes, I'm aware. The emperor made that law so that the court could monopolize the essence stones. What? Han Hao, Wu Bai, and others had never heard of this. They were stunned. So, the essence stones are safe? Of course it's safe. It's a precious cultivation resource. Fellow Taoist Florida man is right. It contains every type of element essence in there, and every stone can bless you with 10 years worth of cultivation. Think about it. One spirit stone has nothing but neutral chi, and we can only get 1 year's worth of chi per piece. But essence stones have a fixed standard since every stone is naturally formed and refined by nature. You can only mine it from a divine, mystic realm. Wow! Leo raised his eyebrows as he found this world's standard weird. Since these people had millions of spirit stones, he wondered why they didn't bother using them to cultivate. Is it better to use 1,000,000 spirit stones or a few essence stones to cultivate? Hua Jiashen bitterly smiled as he thought that Leo tested him. He pointed out the flaws of spirit stones. Spirit stones are merely pebbles that got contaminated with natural chi from a mystic realm. You can find them anywhere there. Although it's useful for beginners, it barely offers element chi for cultivators. If we overly rely on spirit stones to grow or refine our dantians and bodies, our foundations will be very weak. It's better to cultivate element chi or essence from pills, nature, or from essence stones. Obviously, essence stones are crucial for every cultivator above the golden core stage. Leo nodded as he appreciated the info. As he planned to attract more customers and seduce greedy cultivators to attack him, he decided to provoke this so-called emperor and the court. While looking at the crowd, Leo offered them a huge bargain that I think you should take a look at. What if I say I have 1,000,000 of these? I can sell them to you for cheap. Of course, I'll only take lifespan as a currency. This time, Hua Jiashen widened his eyes in astonishment. He stood up. Are you crazy, Taoist Florida man? You will ire the imperial court. They will send quasi-immortals and 10,000 soldiers to hunt you down if they find out. Hearing Hua Jiashen, Wu Bai and Leo widely grinned. They snickered in unison. Let them come. Leo calmly stroked his beard. A new era is upon us, sect master. Let them witness the new dawn of our golden era. Wu Bai mimicked Leo's motion and stroked his goatee beard. Han Hao, Han Meng, Tiger Swordsman, and Hua Jiashen gave Wu Bai a weird look. They wondered why this alchemist supported Leo so much. While Wu Bai sidetracked everybody, one of the elders asked for the price of the stones. Senior, how much for an essence stone? I would like to buy some. Oh right, the price. Leo recalled that he once sold essence stones to Zhong and the ship crew of Ouyang Long. Thinking about them, he wondered if they were fine since they had the contraband items with them. As Leo had sold these stones for 50 years of lifespan each, he decided to maintain the standard. Normally, I sold these for 100 years of lifespan, but since you have been visiting me often, I'll only sell it at the cost price, which is 1 year per piece. Leo no longer cared about maximizing profits by selling them at a reasonable price. After all, he could always convert spirit stones into essence stones by touching them. He still had millions of spirit stones and essence stones in the warehouse, and he could easily get more by selling tea. In addition, pricing them cheaply could awaken a human's greed. Even though they might not need them, they would be tempted to hoard as many essence stones as possible, wasting their lifespan resource in the process. Buy! As Leo had envisioned, Han Meng, Han Hao, Wu Bai, and Tiger Swordsman stood up and shouted in unison. They didn't care if their lifespan would be depleted tomorrow as the item was too cheap. Leo laughed and quickly operated his shop domain, extracting their lifespan. He also ran back to the warehouse and fetched them a large sack of essence stones. The transaction was quick. Everybody got several hundred stones in their arms as these elders quickly spent almost everything, leaving them with 100 years to live and cultivate. However, their expressions were full of joy. Wu Bai tested the stone in front of everybody. He inserted his chi into one of the essence stones and absorbed the essence that leaked out. Wu Bai then manipulated his chi to coil around the invisible essence droplets in the air and inhaled them. As soon as Wu Bai absorbed the wisp of essence that attached to his chi, he gasped for air in shock. The thick essence was legit, and he could feel the other element essence that he didn't have. My word! With only one of these, I might even refine my dantian and be able to cultivate all 5 elements. No wonder the emperor makes it illegal, Wu Bai exclaimed. Hearing Wu Bai's remark, the elders were confident. They stored the essence stones in their spatial rings, keeping them a secret. Meanwhile, Hua Jiashen hadn't moved. He observed how Leo and his subordinates interact. Upon seeing that Leo sincerely helped the sect, Hua Jiashen let out a long sigh of relief. I'm overthinking, I see. Hua Jiashen thought that Leo had an ulterior motive. But since Leo sold the precious cultivation resource so cheaply, he no longer suspected him. However, Hua Jiashan wasn't interested in the essence stones. He had his eyes on something else. He gazed at the showcase refrigerators, which still kept immortal grass, golden sand bananas, cabbages of extreme een, and weird vegetables in there. The sect master rubbed his long, droopy eyebrows as he suddenly had an idea. He offered him a deal. Since you have been helping us a lot, how about we give you a hand? I have an idea. Yes. Leo stopped counting the essence stones in the sack and looked at Hua Jiashan. I see that you're running the store by yourself. How about we send a few young disciples here to help you take care of your store and clean up the mess? Of course, we will be paying them, so you don't have to worry about their wages. Leo found the offer interesting. As his store continued to expand, he started to get mentally exhausted whenever he juggled between the workshop and the store. He needed someone to help him tidy the store while he was busy in alchemy and the farms. He also needed a nanny or a caretaker to keep Cat out of the granary. Although Leo had the warehouse automaton to help him, it was not enough. Also, this didn't include the night security issue, as people could simply sneak into the shop domain premise when Leo was asleep. As Leo couldn't find any demerit from the offer, he leaned toward accepting the deal. However, his habit died hard. He asked to make sure. Indeed, free child labor is a must-have for every business. But what's the catch? Hua Jiashan giggled. He nodded in approval that Leo instantly recognized his hidden agenda. If possible, I hope that you can teach our disciples a thing or two. Those children are too sheltered, and they need to experience the world more. I hope that you could provide them a place to learn about the outside world. Of course, we will keep switching disciples since they might end up purchasing your items and need some time to cultivate. In short, Hua Jiashan indirectly asked Leo to be his sect's guest elder or a coach for the interns. Leo shrugged as he didn't hate the idea. After all, those free workers would eventually spend their lifespan purchasing something from him. Unfortunately, Hua Jiashan didn't live 500 years for nothing. He added another suggestion. Also, I see that you have plenty of alchemy resources. How about I send people from the alchemy department to help you concoct pills? Of course, we'll foot the workers' wages. Wu Bai coughed several times as he was in charge of the department. He smacked his chest. Lord Florida Man, you can always count on me. I have almost 100 years of experience, and my pill-making success rate is over 70%. I can assure you that I can make at least 20 high-grade pills per batch, if you give me enough time. Looking at Wu Bai, Leo pursed his lips. He pointed at the Yang flame pills on the shelves. Do you know those pills? Wu Bai laughed for a moment before his smiling face was frozen. Then, it was distorted in shock and disbelief. Why Yang flame pills? These are medium-grade and high-grade Yang flame pills. You're quite slow, aren't you? Leo sighed as Wu Bai was quite dumb sometimes. He wondered how the alchemist failed to notice the fire pills. Leo tested Wu Bai. How long do you need to make these if I give you the recipe? Chapter 62. Local shocked as Florida Man develops chemical weapon as food. Wu Bai was put in a tough spot. He hated to reveal his capabilities, but he had no choice since Leo asked him. He confessed. About 1 month per batch. I will also need assistance to maintain the fire and essence during the concoction. That doesn't include the time I need to invest to prepare my condition, since I will have to sit in front of the cauldron for 3 months straight. Hua Jiashan and others nodded in approval, as the time Wu Bai needed was much less than average alchemists. From their standard, it usually took 2 to 3 months for an alchemist to concoct a batch of cultivation pills. After all, making pills was not an easy task, and it was time-consuming. Alchemists were respected as specialists because of this reason. Unfortunately, Leo's standard was different. Too slow. Eh? The elders were stunned. Wu Bai was offended, and his face twitched. He believed that he was one of the fastest pill makers on the continent. Thus, he asked Leo how long it took to make them. To then, how long did you take to make those medium-grade pills? Wu Bai stressed the quality of the pills. He could make a batch of 15 to 20 high-grade pills 60 to 70% of the time, and he was confident in his abilities. He was sure that Leo's concoction method was inferior to his. Leo snorted and told them the truth. 3 hours. What? Wu Bai dropped his jaw and the tea bottle. The glass container hit the floor, but it didn't shatter upon impact. Everybody except Hua Jiashan stood up in shock. Only 3 hours. How is that possible? Leo widely grinned. He wondered if he should show them his trade secrets. Should I or should I not? This is kinda childish to flex, but I need to compare the standard of this world and the system's abilities. Well, since these guys will send free laborers to help me, they will eventually learn about the workshops anyway. Oh wait, how about this? I don't have to tell them about the system or how the workshop works. I just magically make them remotely. Yup, that will work. After coming up with the idea, Leo coughed. How about I show you how it's done? Yes, please. Wu Bai repeatedly nodded. The others were also curious. Follow me. Hua Jiashan finally smiled. He followed Leo through the back doors, and they arrived in the backyard. In front of them were two alchemy workshop buildings. Fortunately, both cauldrons were idle as Leo had just collected everything. Although Leo could have used both of them at once, he didn't feel like it. He had a feeling that it might be overkill to demonstrate how he usually worked. Please wait here. I'll go get the ingredient from the granary. Not wasting time, Leo asked the crowd to wait there. He went to fetch the ingredient from the granary. The crowd was slightly confused. They noticed that Leo wore a clear gold ring, and he also carried a spatial ring of billion spirit stones in his pocket. They wondered why he didn't store the materials in his spatial ring. Meanwhile, Leo entered the granary and found Kat inside. She was still terrified of the heavenly tribulation, and she refused to come out. Leo cut a handful of virgin young potatoes and left her alone. He also took a fiery tomato and a tiger-killing orange along as he needed both. He returned to the workshop. Upon returning to the workshop, Leo discovered that Wu Bai had been rubbing and inspecting the cauldron in curiosity, while the other elders silently gazed at the workshop buildings. On the other hand, Hua Jiashan frowned and glared at the second workshop. When Hua Jiashan noticed Leo's arrival, he immediately pointed at the second workshop. Fellow Taoist, what are you keeping in that building? I sense dreadful air from that place. It smells like death. Oh, that? Leo ignored Wu Bai and tossed 3 ingredients into the cauldron without even looking. He gargled and spat at the fireplace, and the cauldron lit up automatically. Ding! Nobody could hear the system bell sound. The cauldron's lid was closed, and it started working. Wu Bai jumped away from the cauldron in panic. He circulated his qi in his eyes to inspect the flow of qi in the pot. Then he looked at Leo, who already walked toward the second workshop. Eh? What? Wu Bai couldn't understand how Leo did it. Normally during a concoction process, an alchemist always pressed their palms on their cauldron to inject their element essence and qi into the pot, extracting the essence from the ingredients and mixing them together. Nobody could make pills without touching their burning cauldrons. Yet, Leo nonchalantly ignited the cauldron and walked away. The other elders were also flabbergasted and baffled. They had seen how Wu Bai worked with his pills before, and they had never seen a crazy alchemist that worked on their pills remotely. Question marks floated on top of their heads as they looked back and forth between the cauldron and Leo. Meanwhile, Leo stood in front of the second workshop, and Hua Jiashan followed him. The latter began sweating as he recognized the aura. The sect master's voice was also cracked. Say, fellow Taoist, please answer me honestly. Are you cultivating another contraband item? Why? Leo giggled. What if I do? Leo paused for a moment. He still remembered the mushroom seeds, and he forgot to water them for days. He wondered what could go wrong. This is not the time for a joke. Taoist Florida man. I know this aura. Isn't this sweet dream mushroom? Do you realize what you're doing? Are they that bad? They're good catalysts for alchemy though. I'm also planning to eat some of them. What? Hua Jiashan choked and coughed. He smacked his chest twice as his heart skipped a beat. After almost having a heart attack, Hua Jiashan told Leo what he had experienced when he was young 500 years ago that I think you should take a look at. Fellow Taoist Florida man. This is different from essence stones. Sweet dream mushrooms are the deadliest hallucination mushroom that turns cultivators into monsters. They consume qi to grow, and their spores can eat cultivators and their qi from the inside. 500 years ago, 5 countries and 20 million people perished because of one sweet dream mushroom from the fungus mystic realm. One of the islands becomes a forbidden area because of these mushrooms. I saw how deadly these mushrooms were. Once you inhale or consume them, you will become a mindless monster that lives on by eating fellow cultivators. You must destroy these mushrooms right now. Hua Jiashan's words entered Leo's left ear and exited his right ear. The Florida man pulled open the door and witnessed the magnificent scene of a miniature fungi apocalypse world. Countless buds of orange mushrooms latched onto the ceiling, floor, and walls. Each came in various sizes. The biggest mushroom head was 1 foot in diameter, and they were average 3 feet tall. As for the smallest ones, they were finger-sized. Leo glanced at the door and peeled a patch of mushrooms. Then he closed the door. Hua Jiashan was already 100 meters in the sky as he kept his distance from the mushrooms. He screamed his lungs out. Taoist Florida man. Burn those blasphemous things before you become a monster. Now! Leo pursed his lips as he believed that Hua Jiashan overreacted. He carried it to the second workshop's cauldron and tossed the patch in the pot. Then he researched it. Ding! The information was shown to Leo. Sweet dream mushroom. This is one of the deadliest mushrooms that almost destroyed the world 500 years ago. It originates from a fungi-infested mystic realm, and it grows by consuming every type of qi and essence. As it is from a fungi species, it can rapidly grow and multiply. It only takes 1 day from one mushroom to terraform everything in a radius of 1 kilometer into a field of sweet dream mushrooms. However hazardous it brings, it comes with great benefits. Immortals and cultivators with virgin yang can consume them to increase their vitality and lifespan. If refined, it can become a life-saving pill that immortals can kill for. Pill recipe: Hope and Dream Pill. 1 sweet dream mushroom. 10 yang catalysts. Fire, water, earth, metal, and wood essence. Pill recipe: Determination Pill. 1 sweet dream mushroom. 10 yin catalysts. Fire, water, earth, metal, and wood essence. Traits: Increase lifespan by 1 year per gram. Consumption. How could he destroy these precious mushrooms when he could farm lifespan by eating them directly? Leo salivated. He rushed into the second workshop and closed the door behind him. After shutting the door, Leo cut the biggest mushroom and weighed it with his feeling. It was light by his standard, but it was roughly 20 kilos. Leo immediately calculated in his mind. 1 gram equals 1 year? Then, 20 kilos would be 20,000 freaking years. Oh my Florida! I'm freaking rich! Without hesitation, Leo started nom-noming, ignoring the fact that many guests were waiting for him outside. 1 hour later, Leo came out. His clothes got slightly stained because of the mushroom spores and dust. However, he had never felt this energetic before. Leo believed that he could work all night that day. After coming out, Hua Jiashan slowly descended. But when he noticed that Leo's clothes were stained with orange dust, he backed away. Taoist Florida man. Are you okay? Can you talk? Huh? Leo frowned. Of course I can talk. What's the big deal? Hua Jiashan let out a sigh of relief. From his experience, people who touched the mushrooms would be zombified in seconds. They also lost their abilities to talk or communicate when they were infected. Yet Leo seemed fine as he responded to his questions. Are you feeling okay? Do the mushroom spore do something to you? Asked Hua Jiashan. Leo shrugged. Aside from being delicious, I don't feel anything. I guess I'm immune to the poison. Hua Jiashan was still wary of the mushroom spore and poison. He kept his distance from Leo. Meanwhile, Wu Bai was glued to the cauldron. He panted and stared at the cauldron in a daze while he commented. Such technique is unprecedented. Not only do the fire element and the mysterious yang qi flow together in harmony, but there is no waste in the ingredients. Who could have thought that you can use yang qi as a conductor while the fire element qi acts as fuel instead of burning the ingredients? Wait, splitting ingredients into 30 sets. Taoist Florida man aims to refine 30 pills at once, and he's not even touching the cauldron. How does he do this remotely? Leo gave Wu Bai a weird look. He left the nerd alone while he licked his fingers and cleaned the dust on his clothes with it. Also, as Hua Jiashan was worried about the fungi, Leo walked back to his bedroom and put on the hazmat suit. Then he returned to the group. Seeing the clothes, Hua Jiashan was relieved. He avoided the second workshop and landed in front of the first workshop. He also urged Leo, again, please destroy those mushrooms. They must not exist. Chapter 63. Florida man builds recycling center to remove trash, spreads cordyceps zombie virus. While everybody ignored Wu Bai's nerdy remarks, Hua Jiashan attempted to convince Leo to give up cultivating the sweat dream mushrooms. Have you ever seen Jiangshi? Taoist Florida man? Jiangshi. Leo was not familiar with the vocabulary. An undead. A dead human mutating into a monster with a human physique. Ah, zombie. I know. Leo finally figured out the word. He thought of the zombies in Chinese movies. They dressed a dead person in ancient clothes and put a talisman on their forehead. Then, those corpses with talismans came back to life, and they jumped instead of walking like Western zombies. The images of Jiangxis were still funny to him. Hua Jiashan continued. The mushrooms can turn every cultivator nearby into juncture-like monsters. They can also infect other cultivators by biting and spraying mushroom spores on their skin. Once infected with the mushroom spores, one can only kill himself to escape from the mushroom's poison since there is no cure. This is why you must burn everything before it's too late. Taoist Florida man. Leo deeply sighed as he understood the danger. Cultivating the mushrooms was the same as producing T-virus. Since it was too dangerous to be contained in a shabby wooden cabin and it might put his future employees' lives at risk, Leo decided to abort the mushroom project for the time being until he could get a better building or structure that could contain the hazardous plants or mushrooms. All right, I'm going to take care of those. Well, since I'm immune to the mushroom, I'll do it myself. As for you, make sure you cover your nose and mouth. Thank you very much for your understanding, Taoist Florida man. Hearing Leo's promise, Hua Jiashan was relieved. He cupped his fist and deeply bowed. While wearing the hazmat suit, Leo re-entered the building. He gazed at the otherworldly orange mushrooms. Then, he noticed something strange. The mushroom patches that Leo had peeled from the door earlier had already regrown. Moreover, the parts that Leo had eaten were regenerating. Oh! Leo sensed a chill running down his spine. He racked his brain, thinking of what he should do. Then, he came up with an idea. System. Can you erase the mushrooms from the building? Ding. Cleaning feature requires recycling center building. A new piece of information piqued Leo's interest. He rechecked his lifespan after the big harvest, wondering how much he got for the next shopping spree. Current lifespan, 91,131 years, 4 months, 16 days, 8 hours, 36 minutes. Leo gulped. He remembered that he had terminated about 40-ish cultivators, and he ate a few kilograms of mushrooms. However, his lifespan jumped from 25,000-ish to over 90,000. Stealing people's lifespans was super effective. Leo wished that more people could come here to attack him again. As Leo had plenty of lifespans, he quickly purchased the auto-speech translation ability, costing him 20,000 years of lifespan. Then, he opened the door and rushed to the main store building. Hua Jiashan and the elders were surprised that Leo came out so quickly. The former asked Leo, "What's wrong?" "Ah, there are some issues. Those mushrooms have already regenerated, and I need to use some special magic to remove the pest." Special magic? Han Hao, Han Meng, and everybody were interested. What magic? You'll find out soon. Leo didn't bother explaining. He touched the wall of the store building and ordered the system to upgrade it. Although it cost a whopping 5,000 years of lifespan, Leo didn't flinch since he was rich. Ding. Humble General Store has been upgraded to level 6. New construction options. Leo checked the list of the new buildings. However, the recycling center wasn't among them. He pushed on and upgraded the main building again. This time, the system asked for 6,000 years. Ding. Humble General Store has been upgraded to level 7. New construction options. Small house. Requirement Humble General Store level 4. Price, 500 years of lifespan. Space, 5 by 5. Small house, 2. Requirement Humble General Store level 6. Price, 500 years of lifespan. Space, 5 by 5. Small house, 3. Requirement Humble General Store level 7. Price, 500 years of lifespan. Space, 5 by 5. Clothing store. Requirement Humble General Store level 6. Price, 1,000 years of lifespan. Space, 10 by 10. Farm plot, 3. Requirement Humble General Store level 6. Price, 1,000 years of lifespan. Space, 10 by 10. Alchemy workshop, 3. Requirement Humble General Store level 6. Price, 1,000 years of lifespan. Space, 10 by 10. Livestock shed. Requirement Humble General Store level 7. Price, 1,000 years of lifespan. Space, 10 by 10. Recycling center. Requirement Humble General Store level 7. Price, 500 years of lifespan. I think you should take a look at. Space, 20 by 20. Mystic Realm portal. Requirement Humble General Store level 7. Price, 10,000 years of lifespan. Space, 20 by 20. Looking at the long list, Leo believed that he might run out of space to build soon. He might have to rearrange the buildings or organize them to save space in the domain. After all, the grids were limited. Moreover, there was an extra building that Leo never expected to see. What the hell? Mystic Realm portal? But why? Leo didn't understand what the system wanted sometimes. Although he wanted to build the portal, he decided not to as there were too many eyes around him. Leo saved his lifespan and built only the recycling center, placing it adjacent to the warehouse behind the first alchemy workshop. Rumble. The upgrade began. The moats and the ground behind the alchemy workshop were equally elevated, and a new structure grew from the ground. However, nobody noticed it except Leo. The general store building transformed as the walls were repainted. It became a two-story building, but the ground floor's walls were made from bricks instead of wood. As for the second floor, it retained the cabin-like architecture. The back doors were also changed. Instead of being doors, it became a wide shutter door. However, because of its large frame, it looked too big for a 10 meters wide building when Leo and others looked at it from the outside. The crowd's mouths were agape as they stared at the transforming building. They looked up and ignored the shutter door as it became insignificant to their eyes. Even Hua Jushan blankly stared at the general store in awe. As for Wu Bai, he already forgot about the cauldron. Seizing the opportunity when the visitors were distracted, Leo kicked the ground and vanished. He reappeared behind the alchemy workshop, which was close to the newest building. The recycling center building was behind the workshop. As it occupied 20 by 20 grids, it took up a lot of space. Half of the land appeared as a junkyard while the other half was a rusty-like shed. However, something in the shed emitted blue light, which was similar to the light of spirit stones. Leo bypassed the empty junkyard and entered the rusty shed. He touched the wall, hoping to see the information of this building. Ding. Recycling Center Level 1. Available production none. Assigned material none. Automaton worker 1 out of 10. Worker speed 0 out of 10. Upgrade 1,000 years of lifespan. It showed no other detail except the simple menu. Leo scratched his head as he couldn't figure out how it would help him. Oh well, when all hope is lost, I'll just upgrade this to the max. Fortunately, the upgrade cost of this building was the same as the others. Leo immediately spent 6,000 years of lifespan, upgrading it to the highest possible level at this stage. He also allocated all points to the worker slot. Ding. Recycling Center Level 7. Available production none. Assigned material none. Automaton worker 7 out of 10. Worker speed 0 out of 10. Upgrade 1,000 years of lifespan. 7 wooden mannequins rose up from the ground and stood idly in front of Leo. They had the same appearance as the warehouse worker, but they all wore yellow plastic helmets and yellow jackets. I guess you are following the OSHA handbooks by the book? Eh? Leo laughed at them. The mannequins flailed their arms in response to Leo's stereotypical joke in protest. Since they had no work, Leo fiddled with the menu, exploring how it worked. He touched the assigned material in hoping to see some hints or descriptions. Ding. You may choose any material you wish to discard or destroy. Once assigned, the workers will automatically collect the assigned material at the recycling center and attempt to create a new product from the discarded materials. The level of the recycling center determines the quality of the new items. Svel.Somicron. Okay, that's normal, I guess. The mannequins worked similarly to the warehouse's worker as they automatically collected items to their respective building. However, only the recycling center could produce something out of the junk. But the information didn't tell Leo one thing. And how do I assign those mushrooms to this place? But if these mannequins touch the mushrooms, will they be alright? Can the mushrooms infect wood golems? Or, as if the mannequins understood Leo's words, they turned around and walked in unison. They marched toward the second alchemy workshop. Leo was surprised. He followed after them to see how they worked. As Leo walked along with the mannequin automatons, they arrived at the second workshop at the same time. When Leo and the automatons came out of the alley and gathered in front of the second workshop, the elders noticed their presence. They watched them from afar, wondering what Leo was doing. Tiger Swordsman narrowed his eyes. As he played with similar golems during his training, he recognized them. Ah, golems. So, Taoist Florida man must be capable of using spirit summon Tao. It's rare to see spirit summoners these days. Han Meng added. Yeah. Aside from you, nobody in our sect uses spirit summon Tao. Your contracted spirit is a tiger, right? Han Meng and Tiger Swordsman were close friends. They used to be rivals when they were young, and they grew up together in the same sect. While Han Meng was an expert in flying swords, Tiger Swordsman was a hybrid between a swordsman, a shaman, and a physical cultivator. He came up with the combination of Daos to reinforce his physique, making him stronger than every nascent soul elders in the sect in terms of physical strength and endurance. Moreover, he had a shaman ability, which allowed him to summon spirits to pilot his man-made golems. Haha, not exactly. My golems are humanoid tigers and they use big swords like me. They look completely different from Taoist Florida man's golems. While Han Meng and Tiger Swordsman chatted, Leo fiddled with his online shopping system and purchased large Tupperware boxes to store the mushrooms. He then opened the door and let them go inside. Hua Jiashan had been on standby. He waved his hand and created a round barrier array with his chi, blocking the air from the workshop from reaching them. Peeky. It was a good decision. A few seconds later, the leaked spores of the mushrooms latched on the array barrier and stained the semi-transparent energy dome. It gradually expanded as it ate Hua Jiashan's chi. Hua Jiashan's face was ashen. He drew a word in the air, creating the Chinese word, fire. Boom. As soon as the word was completed, it lit up in red, and the barrier dome was ignited on fire, burning the mushroom spores on it. A few seconds later, Hua Jiashan's barrier reverted back to the light blue dome. Be careful. Don't go out until Taoist Florida man finishes removing the mushrooms. If you accidentally inhale one of the spores, you're dead. Wu Bai and the elders gulped. They gazed at Leo in worry, hoping that he could get rid of the dangerous items soon. Meanwhile, Leo and the mannequins struggled inside the workshop. The mushrooms seemed to possess a will or become sentient. As soon as Leo and the mannequins plucked or peeled the mushrooms, they rapidly regrew and attempted to spread the mushrooms on their skin. Oh boy, do I really need to summon Hans? Leo grumbled. He shoved a piece in his mouth and chewed it raw. As for the mannequins, they calmly removed the big heads and stored them in the Tupperware boxes outside the building. The situation turned into a tug-of-war. The mushrooms absorbed Leo's radiation to grow while Leo and the mannequins cut them and prevented their growth. The stalemate continued for 30 minutes. Then someone broke the stalemate. A certain plant stopped hiding in the granary and came out. Even though she had eaten plenty of potatoes, she was still hungry for more. Cat crawled on the newly upgraded general store building and crept toward the backyard. She then saw Leo and the new mannequins. However, her food radar picked up the presence of the mushrooms in the Tupperware boxes. Nom nom meow? Chapter 64. Florida man jumps into nuclear reactor pool while filming new Jackass knockoff movie. In the workshop, Leo was frustrated. Because of his radiation, the mushroom grew faster than usual, and they started creeping to his legs, trying to devour him whole. Damn mushrooms! You dare to eat your creator? You're just livestock. Leo had enough. He stopped playing around and exerted 10% of his strength by gripping the biggest mushroom and pulling it. SWUA. Half of the mushrooms in the building came off in one pull. Leo didn't stop. His two hands pressed them and molded them like clay mud, turning the mushroom into a giant ball. Despite his attempt, the molded mushrooms extended their branches and released their spores. Little dust got in Leo's nose and mouth. Some of the spores latched onto his face. TSK. I shouldn't have opened the mask to eat you. Anyway, big mistake, dude. The spores in Leo's nose and mouth instantly died as the radiation was more concentrated than his outer skin. Still, it didn't stop the ball of mushroom from growing. Getting desperate, Leo thought of the system. He recalled that it mentioned something about the cleaning feature, which Leo hadn't tried yet. System. Where's the cleaning feature? As soon as Leo mentioned the feature, the mannequins stopped working and stared at him. Then, a new system window appeared, showing the shop domain map. On the map, there was a red radar-like highlighted area. Please designate the cleaning area. Please noted. Activating the cleaning feature will instantly transfer all items in the designated zone to the recycling center. Half of the items will be lost as a penalty. You can only activate this feature once a day. Air. Leo approved and disapproved of this feature. He liked how the system might be useful in this situation, but the system didn't tell him if the mushrooms would be contained after the transfer. He thought of the recycling center's shed, which was on the open field. If I use the system, won't the spores spread to the nearby area? There is no freaking wall over there. Hesitated and frustrated, Leo pulled back his fingers. Instead of using the feature to remove the mushroom in the building, he touched the wall and summoned the upgrade menu instead. Ding. Basic Alchemy Workshop Level 5. Production quality level, 4/5. Upgrade, 1,000 years of lifespan. Research new ingredient, pill making. Instead of using the feature, Leo wanted to try something new first. He upgraded the workshop to level 7, and he put 1 upgrade point to the pill quality. As for another point, Leo went against his policy and picked an automaton alchemist. Ding. Basic Alchemy Workshop Level 7. Alchemist Automaton, 1/5. Production quality level, 5/5. Upgrade, 1,000 years of lifespan. Research new ingredient, pill making. A new wooden mannequin rose from the wooden floor. At the same time, the building space expanded and transformed. From the outside, the workshop became a 2-story building like the store. Externally, it remained the same size. However, the interior space of the workshop expanded, working the same way as the general store's dimensional space. The quality of the walls, floor, and ceiling was also upgraded. The wooden floor changed into a cold concrete floor, and the interior walls were the same. The ceiling, however, was made from plaster tiles, supported by metal frames. There was no ventilation system other than the windows. As the windows were still closed, Leo was relieved. He turned to the alchemist robot and pointed at the mushrooms. Do something about it. Make a pill out of them if you can. You can use the ingredients in the granary and the warehouse. The mannequin nodded and walked with a long stride. It raised its arm, and it transformed into a giant cleaver blade. Then it karate-chopped the mushroom ball that Leo was holding. SWUA. The mannequin cut the ball in half, but it didn't stop there. It swung its hand horizontally, cutting the ball again. The mushroom wall fell on the ground and was separated into 4 pieces. Tok. As if the mannequin was cooking, it continued chopping, slicing the mushroom ball into smaller pieces. In addition, the chopped mushrooms stopped multiplying for an unknown reason. Seeing how the mannequin had everything under control, Leo stopped idling around. He ordered the recycling workers to continue working and closed the cleaning feature menu. Then, he pulled another section of the mushrooms and compressed them into another big ball. As usual, he tossed it toward the alchemist worker. The alchemist mannequin caught it and chopped it in half. As soon as the blade cut the mushroom ball, the fungi stopped regenerating. I should have done this long ago. Man, I got scared for a moment. Leo proceeded to help the other workers collect the mushrooms and pack them in the Tupperware boxes. After the first box was full, 2 of the yellow jacket mannequins began carrying the box to the recycling center. Worrying about the outbreak, Leo escorted the mannequins. He closed the door behind him and came out of the building. As soon as Leo came out, Hua Jushan and the crowd stared at the transparent box, which contained the fully grown mushrooms I think you should take a look at. Those blasphemous mushrooms. Aye. Hua Jushan stuttered for a moment. As if his PTSD kicked in, he fainted, and the barrier dome was dispelled. Han Hao and Han Meng rushed in to support the sect master while Tiger Swordsman and others brought out random objects and used them as fans. Leo felt a bit guilty. He purchased an inhalant stick from the online system and tossed it toward the group. Use this. It helps. Wu Bai caught it and looked at the tube-like object. He flipped it around as he had never seen this material before. Lord Florida Man, sir. What's this? Leo didn't bother looking at Wu Bai and others. He walked into an alley between the 2 workshops and shouted, "An inhaler stick! Open it and shove it into your elder's nose." Although confused, Wu Bai flipped the inhalant stick around the object and managed to unscrew the cover. Then he sniffed at it and caught a pleasant scent of ammonia. I see. Indeed, it's an inhalant. But will it work? Sometimes, Leo was inconsiderate with his words. Wu Bai could also be innocently honest and stupidly naive when he received orders from a senior. As a result, Wu Bai took the advice word by word. With his full force, Wu Bai shoved the stick into Hua Jushan's nose. The Life Sword sect's elders widened their eyes in shock as Wu Bai's action caught them off guard. They yelled at him, "What the hell, Wu Bai? How dare you insult the sect master?" But Lord Florida Man asked me to." Wu Bai let go of the stick and took a step back. The crowd glared at Wu Bai while the latter sweated profusely. Fortunately, Hua Jushan recovered fast. He pulled out the stick to look at it. "I feel better now. Don't be too harsh on him." The crowd stopped bearing fangs at Wu Bai. The latter was also relieved that the inhalant stick worked. Meanwhile, Hua Jushan stared at it for a moment before he put it back into his nose and took a deep breath. Then he closed his eyes, enjoying the pleasant scent. The elders blankly stared at the elder in envy. They wondered if the inhalant stick was an exceptional medicine that Leo personally made. While the elders were preoccupied with the modern ammonia stick, Kat jumped down from the general store's rooftop and stood menacingly in front of the second alchemy workshop. She opened the door with her roots and inserted her vines into the building. Hua Jiashan stood up in a panic. Although his subordinates had warned him about the monster, he was still stunned when he noticed Kat's constitution and hidden Dao avatar. Does Taoist Florida man raises this monster? Han Hao and others found nothing wrong with it. What about it, Sect Master? It's exceptionally strong and weird. Wait a second. What is it doing? It was too late for everybody to react. Kat already scooped pieces of mushroom that the alchemy mannequin had chopped, and she threw them into her chomper mouth. She chewed it in glee. "New!" Hua Jiashan panicked and screamed. A moment later, he fainted again. Sect Master! The crowd was also panicked as the Sect Master's PTSD was so severe. Even Wu Bai was helpless as he had no idea why a powerful expert fainted so easily. Meanwhile, Leo observed how the mannequins dealt with the contained mushrooms. They brought the container to the cement pool, which was filled with strange blue water. The mannequins climbed the edge. They opened the Tupperware's cover and poured the mushrooms into the blue water. Wait a minute. Leo rushed to the pool and looked into the water. Then, he noticed how the water dissolved the mushrooms into dust. Leo gulped. He wondered if the blue acid water might be harmful to him. To test things out, he took off his clothes, leaving him with only a naked butt. He then playfully coughed. This is Florida Man Welcome to Jackass. Leo sometimes wished that he could have the theme jingle to accompany his actions. Still, as silly as he was, he jumped into the pool. Boom! Water splashed everywhere, but none of them hit the mannequins. It was slightly hot but refreshing. Leo felt like he was dipping in a hot spring. Leo came up to the surface. He laughed and swam as if it was a normal swimming pool. As he hadn't taken a proper shower for almost a month, some dirt came out from the pores of his skin. The water around him changed into a rainbow color. After a minute of swimming, Leo concluded that the acidic water couldn't do anything to his skin. Even though he accidentally swallowed a mouthful of water, it did nothing to his stomach. I guess I now have a personal swimming pool. While Leo had fun, the drainage at the bottom of the pool sucked in dust and waste from Leo. New blue water also came out from the other bottom hole, refilling the lost water. Ding! Leo hadn't noticed the machine next to the cement pool. It started running, and a long line of belts moved. A few seconds later, blue marble orbs exited the machine, sitting on the running belt. The orb was carried to the end of the belt line and fell into a large empty pool. Ding ding! The spirit stones rolled on the empty pool and glittered under the sunlight. Chapter 65, Meth making is popular among pharmacy company, said Florida man who successfully converted famous chemist into meth chef. After a quick bath, Leo came out of the blue pool. He made sure to wipe his body with a towel and put on his clothes before he returned to the workshop. However, as Leo got sidetracked by his pending silliness and craziness, things developed in the workshop. The group of workers were on their way to the recycling workshop. However, none of them carried a box of mushrooms with them. Instead, they returned empty-handed. Ha! Leo gazed at the wood mannequins. He inspected their bodies if they were infected by the mushrooms, but they seemed unharmed. Where are the mushrooms? What happened? The mannequins couldn't answer. They simply stared at Leo's face, waiting for his next instructions. Seeing their reactions, Leo scratched his head. Fine. Go clear the forest weeds in the backyard for me. Throw everything in the junkyard, but don't toss them into the pool. I need to sort them out first. Can you do it? The mannequins flinched as they updated the new instructions. They turned around in unison and left the junkyard to the back. Meanwhile, Leo rushed to the workshop. He needed to know what happened to the mushrooms as they were the finest ingredients for new pills. Upon reaching the front of the workshops, Leo glanced at the group of elders, who were nursing Hua Jiashan back to health. Leo frowned and turned in another direction. Then he saw the cause of the mess. Cat was there, scooping and eating mushrooms in glee. Some spores latched on her mouth and skin, but they couldn't grow for an unknown reason. Cat also noticed Leo's arrival. When the humanoid head spotted him, she waved her hands at him. You! Leo face-bombed. Cat was too innocent, and he couldn't get angry at her. Cat, you're not supposed to eat that. The mushrooms are dangerous. It will turn you into a zombie. By the way, are you a zombie yet? Meow. Cat tilted her human head, unable to understand his words. What do you mean by a zombie? Well, a zombie is a walking corpse of a human or a monster. They smell bad, and they attack random people to spread their diseases. You can get really sick if you get bitten or infected. Meow? Meow meow? Yes, you're eating zombie disease dust at the moment. The mushrooms are the disease spreader. Meow! Cat stopped eating. Her human part cried, but the chomper mouth continued chewing the mushrooms. After the mouth swallowed everything, the long tongue came out and licked his face. Leo rolled his eyes. Cat's bad breath was stinker than Morbol from Final Fantasy series, and he took 9,999 emotional damage from the odor. While Cat licked him, Leo inspected her oral health. 1,000 small fangs were yellowish, and pieces of rotten potatoes were still stuck between her teeth. Fortunately, there was no sign of a zombie mushroom growing in her mouth. Leo was relieved. He patted the plant girl and entered the building to see the carnage. Inside the building, most of the mushrooms were removed, leaving only a small portion that the alchemy mannequin had processed. However, the mannequin was not in the workshop. Leo pursed his lips and collected the remaining small pieces of cut mushrooms in a container. He closed the Tupperware box and left it there for the time being. Then he looked at the roof. Wiggle. A small portion of mushrooms remained in the corners of the building. However, the growth speed was drastically reduced as they lacked nutrition. Leo walked closer to the mushrooms in one of the corners. As soon as he got close, the mushrooms were attracted to his radiation aura, and they moved toward him. They also grew faster. Yeah, figured as much. I'm the cause. Leo quietly peeled the mushrooms in the corners and put them in the same Tupperware box. Then they stopped growing. The crisis was over. Leo wiped his sweat and gazed at the mushrooms in the containers. I'll regrow you when I have a better building. For now, you guys need to go swimming. Leo exited the building with the box. When he got out, Cat was still there, sobbing like a little baby. A crying little girl benefited no one. Leo sighed and patted the giant plant girl. Listen, you're not going to be infected or anything. You're immune to the disease. Meow. Yes, really. Meow. Meow. Really, really. Meow love. Cat stopped crying. She kissed him by sucking half of his upper body into her mouth and repeatedly licked his face like a lollipop. After wetting his face and hair enough, Cat hummed and crawled back to the granary, which ended up as her house. Leo blankly stared at the plant girl and shook his head. He no longer bothered wiping his face or hair as it would have ruined the cloth or the towel. Creak crack. While Cat was crawling home, the alchemy mannequin returned. It came from the granary's direction, and it carried a bunch of potatoes in its arms. The doll arrived at the second alchemy cauldron and dropped 10 potato pieces in there along with a piece of sweet dream mushroom. Then it looked at Leo. Leo shrugged as he knew what the mannequin asked for. He spat at the fireplace of the cauldron, giving it some essence. Ding. Refining hope and dream pills. The lid was automatically closed as the cauldron started working. A timer menu, which only Leo could see, appeared in front of the cauldron. Less than 6 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, 58 seconds. The process took as long as the immortal pills. Leo bitterly smiled as he wouldn't be able to use this workshop for a week. Creak crack. The alchemy mannequin didn't stop working. It pressed its hands at the cauldron as if it was manually refining the pills. Then something magical occurred. The system informed Leo. Ding. Alchemy Workshop's automaton is helping you refine hope and dream pills. Tips. Workshop automatons can raise the pill's quality and quantity by 1 tier. Having more than one automaton working on the project at once can decrease the refinement time. Wow! Leo smacked his forehead. He wished he knew about this feature sooner. I think you should take a look at. Still, the work here was finished. It was time to bring the mushrooms to the recycling center. Leo turned around to check on Hua Jiashan and the elders next. The group of old men stared at the alchemy mannequin in a daze. Their faces and expressions seemed like they had seen a ghost. Hello? Houston to Earth. Hua Jiashan came back to his senses, but the nasal inhaler stick was still stuck in his nose. He coughed and corrected his demeanor. Taoist Florida man. What's with your alchemy techniques? Why are you using your golem to concoct a pill when it's better to do it yourself? It was common sense for alchemists to focus on one cauldron at a time as the pill refining and pill-making process required commitment and concentration, A slight distraction could ruin chi flow in the cauldron, and the materials might be wasted. However, Liu was like a hipster to this world's common sense. He remotely concocted a batch of pills in a cauldron. Then he started another by using a golem. These actions baffled the crowd. Wu Bai smacked his chest a few times as his heart couldn't take it. His face flushed, and his blood pressure spiked. The alchemist elder's trembling hand pointed at the golem and the first workshop's cauldron. Lord Florida man, why you are concocting 2 sets of pills at the same time? Oh, Leo shrugged. What's wrong with that? Actually, in the near future I might do 3 at once. Get used to it. Wu Bai stopped moving. A moment later, he stiffly fainted while he stood. Elder Wu Bui. Not you, too. The elders panicked and rushed to Wu Bai's aid. They fed him herbal pills, hoping to get him back to health. Leo shook his head and purchased a dozen inhalant sticks. He tossed them to the crowd. However, Hua Jushin nimbly waved his hands and collected all of them. He opened one of the sticks and put it in his available nostril. The elders and Leo blankly stared at Hua Jushin. It seemed that the sect master had an addiction issue. Fortunately, Hua Jushin passed the rest of the inhalers to the others. Han Hao took one and proceeded to give it to Wu Bai. The guy slowly came back to his senses and recovered. Leo sighed and gave up on explaining to them. He minded his business and brought the mushrooms to the recycling center's pool. An hour later, Leo finished taking another bath in the acid pool. He returned to check on the group. When Leo arrived, he found the gang staring at the cauldron in a daze. Their eyes shone as they could see through the black pot and inspected the pills inside. Leo checked the timer. Oh, it's finished. Leo nonchalantly opened the lid, and the pills floated out of the pot. They hovered over the cauldron, emitting a medical scent. Wu Bai sat in the middle of the crowd, looking stupid. His unaligned eyes looked like chameleon's eyes, and he drooled like an infant toddler. Am I dreaming? How is this possible? Han Hao, Han Meng, Tiger Swordsman, and Hua Jushan were also speechless. They counted the pills to make sure. One of the elders confirmed the result. 30 pills. More than half are high grade, 2 are superior grade, and 10 are medium grade. Yui! Wu Bai let out a weird noise. His mind was no longer on Earth. He muttered to himself, 60 years of practicing and training? What was the point? Why did I waste so much time on those lousy techniques while a better technique is right in front of me? Everybody stared at Wu Bai. They came to a conclusion. I guess he's broken. Han Hao facepalmed as his friend lost it. Hua Jushan also coughed to hide his embarrassment, but the 2 inhalant sticks were still stuck in his nose. He cupped his fist and lowered his head. You have opened our eyes and broadened our horizons. Thank you for the lesson. Don't mention it. Leo stroked his beard and took the credit even though he didn't do anything. Say. Hua Jushan widely grinned. He confirmed the deal with Leo. Could I ask you to teach our disciples your concoction techniques? Leo had expected this. He shook his head. Sorry? No. Svel.Samikron MIC. Hua Jushan also understood why Leo refused. After all, accepting a disciple was a big thing in the cultivation world as it was related to their legacy and Daos. They had to make sure that no outsiders or evil cultivators learn and spread their techniques to the public. Otherwise, their sects, clans, or organizations would lose their purpose. But they can watch. Oh! Hearing that Leo permitted the disciples to watch, Hua Jushan was delighted. The disciples will be very happy. I bet this idiot is happy too, right? Hearing Hua Jushan's words, Wu Bai came back to his senses. He looked back and forth and repeatedly nodded. Yes, you're right. But what were you talking about again? Everybody? After the demonstration, the deal was finalized. The Life Sword Sect's elders returned home happy. Han Hao and Han Meng would be in charge of sending helpers to the store to work here for free. Hua Jushan ended up paying 100 years of his lifespan to purchase 100 inhalant sticks from Leo. Tiger Swordsman got Leo's permission, and he would send commoners to sell Leo some vegetables and fruits in exchange for spirit stones or essence stones. As for Wu Bai, he didn't return home. He groveled in front of the store, begging Leo for something else. The elders didn't bother bringing him along as this guy already lost his mind. Leo stared at Wu Bai, who didn't stop kowtowing to Leo. The latter wailed, "Please take me as your disciple. Teach me, master." Leo had a headache. He regretted revealing his secrets to Wu Bai.